Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. If you want to wake up to life, you need to come face to face with the one thing most people spend their entire existence avoiding: death. When you come face to face with the reality of death, whether through the loss of a loved one or a near-death experience, something inside you shifts. It's like a switch flips, and suddenly everything you once thought was important fades into the background. The stress over minor inconveniences, the endless worrying about what others think, the hesitation to take risks, it all seems so insignificant when compared to the finite nature of life. You start to see with absolute clarity that time is not an unlimited resource. It is the most precious thing you have, and yet most people spend their days as if they have an infinite supply. Think about how people live their lives. They wake up, go through the motions, put things off for tomorrow, believing they have all the time in the world. But the truth is, nobody is promised tomorrow. This is not meant to be negative or dark. It's meant to wake you up, because when you grasp this reality, your whole perspective changes. You no longer wait for the perfect time to start that business, take that trip, tell someone you love them, or go after the life you've always dreamed of. You stop assuming you have decades to make things happen, and you start treating every single day as the gift that it is. People who have had near-death experiences or lost someone close to them often describe feeling as if their entire existence has been put into focus. They suddenly see what matters and what doesn't. They realize they've spent too much time hesitating, doubting, or fearing failure. They recognize that most of what they once stressed about was never really important at all. They understand, often too late, that life is happening right now in this very moment. Most people go through life believing they have endless time. They push their dreams into the future, telling themselves, one day, I'll do it. They delay happiness, thinking once I achieve this or that, then I'll finally be happy. They hold off on making decisions, taking risks, and fully committing to what they truly want because they assume there will always be more time. But that's the biggest illusion of all. Time is slipping away second by second, and most people don't even realize it until it's too late. Look around. How many people do you know who are living in a cycle of routine, waking up, going to work, coming home, scrolling through their phones, and repeating the process day after day? They complain about their jobs, their relationships, their financial situation, but they don't take action to change it. They tell themselves they will start next week, next year, when they have more money, when they feel more confident, when the timing is right. But the right time never comes, because it's never about the timing. It's about their mindset. People let fear control them. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of stepping outside their comfort zone, so they wait, and in that waiting they lose time they will never get back. They tell themselves that they'll be happier in the future, that success is something they'll work toward someday. But someday is not a day of the week. Someday never arrives. When people finally realize how much time they've wasted, it often comes with regret. They look back and wonder why they didn't start sooner, why they let fear dictate their choices, why they allowed themselves to believe they had all the time in the world. When you truly confront the reality of death, your entire perspective shifts. The things you once obsessed over suddenly seem trivial. The arguments, the frustrations, the opinions of people who don't truly matter, none of it holds the same weight anymore. You begin to see how much time you've wasted worrying about things that in the grand scheme of life have no real significance. What once felt like a big deal now feels like background noise. What once kept you up at night now barely registers. Because when you understand that your time here is limited, you stop focusing on the things that don't move you forward, and you start prioritizing what truly matters. The relationships you took for granted suddenly become your most valuable assets. The love you withheld out of pride or fear now feels like something you need to express every single day. The risks you were too afraid to take no longer seem scary because the idea of living a life full of regret is far more terrifying. You stop chasing validation from others because you realize their opinions won't matter in the end. You stop stressing over the small inconveniences of daily life because you know that none of it will matter when your time is up. This kind of clarity doesn't just change how you think, it changes how you live. You stop being passive, you stop waiting. You start making decisions based on what will bring you fulfillment instead of what will keep you comfortable. You spend more time with the people you love. You forgive faster. You speak your truth without hesitation. And most importantly, you live with a sense of urgency because you understand that every moment counts and there's no guarantee of how many you have left. Fear controls more people than failure ever could. Fear of the unknown, fear of judgment, fear of making the wrong decision. It keeps people stuck in lives they don't even love. But when you truly understand that your time is limited, fear loses its grip. The things that once scared you no longer have the same power. You start to realize that playing it safe is the real risk. Holding back, staying comfortable, avoiding challenges. That's what leads to a life of regret. People spend years hesitating because they're afraid of what might go wrong. They don't start the business because they fear failure. They don't express their feelings because they fear rejection. They don't chase their dreams because they fear what others will think. But when you step back and look at the bigger picture, you see how much time is wasted on these fears. None of it will matter in the end. Nobody lies on their deathbed wishing they had played it safer. They wish they had taken more chances. They wish they had lived fully without hesitation. When you grasp this truth, fear becomes irrelevant. The fear of failure is replaced by the fear of missing out on life. The fear of rejection is replaced by the realization that real connections come from honesty and vulnerability. The fear of making mistakes is replaced by the understanding that mistakes are lessons, not life sentences. You start acting despite the fear because you know that the worst thing isn't failing, it's never trying at all. You start making decisions based on what excites you, what challenges you, what helps you grow instead of what feels safe. You stop overthinking and start moving because you finally see that the real risk isn't going after what you want. It's wasting time pretending you have forever. There is always something people say they want to do, but they keep putting it off. They tell themselves they'll start that business when they have more money. They'll travel when they have more time. They'll work on their health when life isn't so busy. They'll reach out to someone they miss when the moment feels right. But what if that moment never comes? What if the perfect time they've been waiting for never arrives? The truth is, waiting is just another form of fear. It's a way to avoid discomfort, to avoid taking responsibility, to avoid stepping into the unknown. People convince themselves that waiting is a strategy, that someday they'll feel more ready, more prepared, more confident. But that day never comes because confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you build through action. The longer they wait, the more excuses pile up. The more they hesitate, the more life slips away. Look at the people who create massive success, the ones who live with passion and purpose. They don't wait. They don't overthink. They move. They take action even when it's uncomfortable, even when they're scared, even when they don't have all the answers, because they know that progress isn't made by standing still. Every day you delay is a day you'll never get back. Every opportunity you pass up is a door you might never be able to reopen. The world doesn't stop moving while you hesitate. The clock keeps ticking whether you're ready or not. And if you don't take control, if you don't start now, you might wake up one day and realize you ran out of time before you ever truly started living. At the end of life, people don't regret the things they tried and failed at. They regret the things they never had the courage to do. They don't regret the mistakes that taught them lessons, the risks that didn't pan out, or the times they fell flat on their face. They regret the moments they let fear win. They regret the dreams they never chased, the love they never expressed, the experiences they passed up because they were too worried about what might go wrong. Most people don't realize this until it's too late. They look back and see all the chances they didn't take, all the conversations they never had, all the time they wasted waiting for the perfect moment. But there is no perfect moment. There is only now. Life doesn't wait for you to be ready. It keeps moving with or without you. Think about the people who inspire you the most, the ones who made an impact, who lived with passion, who left something meaningful behind. They weren't the ones who played it safe. They were the ones who took action, who made bold decisions, who refused to settle for a life of mediocrity. They were the ones who, when they reached the end, could say with certainty, I gave it everything I had. That's the difference between a life well lived and a life filled with regret. It's not about how much money you made or how many years you lived. It's about how fully you showed up, how deeply you loved, how fearlessly you pursued what mattered to you. Because when the final moments come, the only thing that will matter is whether you truly lived or merely existed.